Hey there guys, I am the Six Machine and welcome back to another Warhammer video. So we got a very exciting little bit of news teased to us yesterday by the Warhammer community. It looks as though they are getting ready to ramp up the previews and the news for the upcoming Drukhari Codex. Now, we knew that the Drukhari were next up in line after the Dark Angels release, and it was delayed just like the Dark Angel supplement, but it is looking as though the release may come sooner than I thought, to be honest. I'm thinking because of some Age of Sigmar stuff that needs to be released throughout February, the Drukhari Codex may well drop either towards the very tail end of February or more likely in March. So either way, it's not too long to wait until we get to see the first Xenos Codex of 2021 and the second overall Xenos Codex in 9th edition after the Necrons. And this is really exciting to me because of how many changes to things like weapons, stat lines, the layout of the codexes with things like the doctrines and the Necron dynastic protocols. It's just going to be really interesting to see how they approach the upcoming multitude of Xenos codexes and what new rules and game styles are going to be made possible with them to bring them in line with the Marines and the Necrons that have already been released. Especially with the changes we saw in the Necron Codex with their new weapon like stat lines, changes to sort of ballistic skill on unit profiles, and as I said, the dynastic protocols. It really is a very exciting time to be a Xenos player, I think. I really do believe that 9th edition is going to bring some big fundamental changes to all of the armies, including some things that we just won't see coming. And to kick that all off, there are some big changes coming to the Drukhari already. So, the basic warrior profile. The Kabbalite warrior that we all know and loved back when they were 7 points, maybe not so much now, but anyway, they have, since their inception, I believe carried the same stat line, which is typically Eldar-ish: high movement, respectable weapon and ballistic skill of 3+, strength and toughness of a relatively weedy 3, 1 wound, 1 attack, moderately decent leadership, and a paper-thin save of 5+. But now, that attack profile has doubled up to 2 to showcase their brutal and vicious nature when they get into melee with their opponents, and their armor has increased dramatically to a very decent 4+ armor save. These are some huge changes to the Kabbalite warrior stat line, and I'll be honest, ones that I think really are appropriate. I mean, if you think about it, Eldar were hit quite hard with the removal of the initiative stat line, losing one of their biggest advantages to counter their weak strength. And whilst they did tend to, across the board, get a slightly above average movement characteristic to compensate for this, in my opinion, it was never really quite enough. That extra attack showing their speed as they dance and spin into melee really does make sense to me. And likewise, the 4+ armor save. Now, I know from a game perspective, a 3+ save would maybe be pushing it too far on things like the warriors. Obviously, things like the aspect warriors, some of them have a 3+ save. But if you think about it, these races, the Dark Eldar and the Eldar, are millions and millions of years old, with some of the greatest craftsmen the galaxy has ever seen. You really don't think that they can make some durable armor which is still light and flexible enough for them to make full use of their speed? A move to a 4+ save is incredibly beneficial and will really help boost their survivability on the tabletop, as well as, in my opinion, being still relatively fluffy, that they should have a better armor save than a guardsman with his flak jacket. And I mean, yeah, at 8 points a model for a toughness 3 5+ save infantry, model was really a bit iffy to begin with. So I think this 4+ save is warranted and makes sense in the lore, so I'm really happy to see it. Overall, I'm really glad to see these 2 changes because I love that Games Workshop isn't just sticking to their guns, and thinking, oh, those profiles have been this way forever, we can't shake things up too much. It really does look like they are willing to make some big shifts this edition to really separate the races and, give Marines that extra wound, give Eldar these extra attacks and armor. So who knows what we're going to see for things like Tyranids and Orcs. So as I said, it's a very exciting time to be a Xenos player. We also got another hefty change in one of the main heavy weapons for the Drukhari, the Splinter Cannon. This has now gone from a rapid fire 3 poison 4+ gun with no AP and 1 damage to a heavy 3 poison 4+ gun with -1 AP and 2 damage. It is essentially a heavy bolter now against non-vehicle units, which is a really significant change. I do think that a lot of Drukhari players will really miss the rapid fire aspect of it, Putting out 6 shots at 18 inches was always very, very nasty, but I do have to say that I think this is better overall. That -1 AP is really great for reducing those tough saves which Drukhari guns generally tended to just bounce off, and that flat 2 damage is obviously great for the current meta, as well as going to make them, really brutal for putting down big gribblies like Hive Tyrants and Demons, where other infantry guns and sort of like heavy bolter style guns will be wounding on 5s. Yours are going to be wounding on 4s and still doing that 2 damage to them when the wounds get through. It also interestingly gains a strength of 3 rather than just the asterisk, which it had before, so in my opinion, we don't know the exact wording of the poison 4+ rule, but in my mind, that addition means that there are going to be some cases where you may wound a vehicle on a 5 rather than a 6. Currently, the poison rule means that you always wound vehicle or titanic units on a 6+. Always. That's just a flat rule. Now it looks like because it's got that strength of 3, there are some chances, and obviously this is going to be very niche, it's not going to come up too often, but there are some chances where if your opponent does have a toughness 5 vehicle, your splinter cannon will be wounding them on a 5s rather than on 6s, because it's not double your strength. So don't forget that when you're using these guns. Obviously, as I said, it's not going to come up too many times because there aren't too many toughness 5 vehicles around, but there are a few out there, so this will be a little bit of a minor buff as well to the gun against some light vehicles. I think that whilst these changes are very cool, and as I said, I love that GW is pushing the boat out on changing things up, the thing that I'm most excited about because of this news, and one that I may well do a video on at a later point, is the idea of what this could mean for the rest of the Xenos factions throughout 40k. We could see some really big sweeping changes across a lot of the Xenos factions. A Guardian's going to be getting this better armor save to 4+ like the Cabalite Warriors. Will all Eldar be getting an extra attack? Is the Orc Big Shooter going to get a 2 damage profile like the Splinter Cannon? A Gaunt's going to get an extra attack. There's so many things that I think people have wanted for their respective Xenos armies for such a long time to bring them in line with the Marines, but because GW always seems so reluctant to really do big profile shifts going from edition to edition. I mean, they did in 8th, obviously, but they still kept the same toughness for 1 wound, 3 up save Marine, and everyone was like, this was your chance to really shake up the profiles, and you didn't take it. It looks like in 9th they are going to be doing that. It's really exciting to think about how the Xenos factions are going to change and evolve to fight this new Marine meta, which, I mean, let's be honest, it came about towards the tail end of 8th and has definitely been reined in, but I think even if you don't consider overall army power as the main thing, just looking at the Marine Codex and to an extent the Necron Codex now, the number of cool rules and game mechanics that they have really does make you feel like you're just playing half an army if you play one of the other Xenos factions. Getting doctrine style abilities for Tyranids, or the upgrade tables like the Marines get for their chapter command for Orc, knobs, and being able to promote them, an expansion to the systems like the Drukhari Obsessions, the custom jobs, the tank aces. All of that, I think, will be coming in these updated Xenos Codexes and expanded upon. So, as I said, it's a really, really exciting time to be a Xenos player, I think. I think there are going to be some big changes coming in all the codexes. So I, for one, am really happy with the sneak peek. It didn't show off too much, but also in my mind, it showed us GW's thinking when it comes to the Xenos armies, and I think that's really exciting to see because they clearly do have some big plans. What this has made me really excited about is that I want to see all of the codexes. It used to be the case where I would be interested in, the Dark Angel Codex, the Orc Codex, and maybe the Tyranid Codex, because they were the armies that I really played. But now I want to see all of them because I want to see what new systems, what new game mechanics, what new rules, what new stat lines all of those other factions have coming in. And what I think this will do for the game is not only make it more interesting for you as players of those armies to play them, but also for your opponents to learn and understand. It won't be the case of where I just see a Drukhari Cabalite Warrior and be like, okay, 1 attack, 5 up save, pretty crap in melee, I can just shoot him and his armor save won't help him. Now I need to know what these changes are, and if we get big fundamental changes to stat lines and that kind of thing, it's going to be a case of basically relearning your opponent's armies so you know what to watch out for and you know how to counter them, and that is going to be really, really good fun for me. So that's it for today. As I said, very short preview, but one which I think has big implications for 9th edition, and I definitely like the direction that GW seem to be going with their approach to Xenos armies, but let me know what you thought of this preview and what else you would love to see for Drukhari in terms of changes to stat lines, weapons, rules, or game mechanics. Drop me a message in the comments below and I will be sure to read your thoughts and suggestions. Thanks again for watching. Please do leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more from me. Until next time though, I'll catch you later guys.